What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. Happy Thursday to everybody. We got a fun game tonight between the Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're joined by Jesse this evening, who looks like he's circling the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what the name of the stadium is, but Jesse, what's going on, man?
Not too much. Weather here is nice. No rain. We're dry. We're just for some football.
All right, I don't think there's no weather concerns tonight, correct?
No, I don't think. No weather.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game because you have two teams coming off of like kind of stinky losses, like especially on New England's side. But I do think Tampa Bay, like, they dropped 2 games in a row at home. Like, their season's kind of on the line tonight. So, one game out of the NFC South, Josh Allen and the Bills need to get their shit going. This could be a better game than I think the spread is implying. But we're going to settle in here tonight, and basically we're just going to answer questions. We'll look at some things. Good evening to Charlene. Charlene, right off the bat here with the Vikings or Jags defense question. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jesse?
Vikings or Jags?
I was looking at the Vikings defense because, like, the Packers just aren't scoring points. They're just not. I don't like that both teams are on the road this weekend, and I'm just pulling up the spread charts right now and looking by team total. They are projecting the Packers to score 20 and the Jags to score 20, or I guess the Steelers to score 19 and a quarter. I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, it's hard. Also, too, I mean, at Lambeau. These are both places you don't really want to play defenses at. But, I mean, both offenses have been pretty bad. Steelers, without Deontay, is probably a pretty intriguing play. You got to kind of monitor that. But like you said, the Packers just offensively haven't been great. Love's been willing, he's throwing picks, he's getting sacks.
Yeah.
Vikings maybe have some momentum right now after a nice Monday night win.
I'm leaning the Vikings because, again, like, the Packers haven't scored, I think, more than 3 touchdowns since the Falcons game. Maybe week 1. I don't even know. It's been a while since they've scored 3. So we'll give them 2, but I bet if I put the line at 1.5 touchdowns, you're going to have to think about how many touchdowns the Packers score, right? So Love has not been good. I think the Steelers offense is showing signs of life, but you made a good point about Deontay Johnson potentially being out. So maybe we table it and see if Deontay's out, do we just say play Jags defense in what should be a pretty low scoring game?
Yeah, I think that's what the Steelers want to play for against the Jags, or that's what the Jags, I mean, either way, I think on that outcome of no Deontay, you're kind of limiting their options in general.
Right.
And I mean, Pat's on the IR. They got no Pat. They got no. I mean, they're down to Pickens, Allen Robinson, who's a corpse. Calvin Austin is really a gadget player. So
yeah, I think we're gonna lean with the Jags just in case Deontay's out. But good evening to Harris. Hope you're doing well. Gully's chiming in here saying, "Is it a bad idea to start Rachaad White over London and Downs?" I think so. I'll toss it to you, Jesse. Are you starting Rachaad White over London and Downs?
Yeah, I mean, Rachaad White probably only gets the nod if you're like looking for a safety floor. Otherwise, I think the upside of London and Downs is just too great, especially London playing Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a really nice matchup.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the wide receiver points allowed right now. The Titans are 26. They've allowed 5 touchdowns, 95 receptions, 1,100 yards. That's about almost 40 PPR points per game. And when I think about Drake London, sure, maybe the Falcons don't hit that 40 PPR points per game, but they're going to be close. And he does get how much he gets over half of the receiving points anyway. So I do think it's a good spot for London. I do like Josh Downs a lot, though, and you're the Colts fan of the group here, and I've been getting a lot of Josh Downs questions. So I'm curious if you like Josh Downs in this matchup. I think it's at home against the Saints.
Yeah, at home against the Saints, and Josh Downs is one of those guys who I feel like he's starting to take over Pittman a little bit, but it doesn't feel steady. It doesn't feel truly, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's his role yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, they like him a lot. I mean, they really like him a lot.
One of the viewers the other night pointed out that the Saints kind of struggle against slot receivers. And if you look here at the receivers, the Saints have allowed to score the most points this year. We're talking Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Adam Thielen, Romeo Doubs. Not sure how Devin Tompkins got in there, but there was a D-Hop game. And so there's a little bit of smoke here where the slot receiver might be a solid play against the Saints. And I'm not opposed to it. You can see the targets are there too. You got 11 for Godwin, 9 for Thielen, 12 for Romeo. I don't know how much Romeo played in the slot in that game, but it does look like your man beater slot guys here could be into play. But I think for this question, we're gonna go with London.
Yeah, probably London 1 for me. I just think best combo of floor and
Yeah.
ceiling. Downs might have. I mean, if you need a home run, maybe I'd say Josh Downs. If you need an absolute home run,
Yeah.
but you're banking on a long touchdown.
Yeah. And hey, Daniel's in here. Good evening from Brazil. We got Gullies saying, "Is Palmer is looking rough, missing 2 practices in a row?" I didn't catch that. Yeah, Josh Palmer missing 2 practices in a row is a concern. It's going to be a big Keenan Allen night, isn't it? On Sunday Night Football
Against the Bears, most likely.
What am I looking for here? I want to pull up those practice reports and just double check that. I believe Eckler had, kind of dinged up his ankle again last weekend, but I saw him practicing in full. So I just want to pull up the Chargers practice reports here and confirm DNP for Palmer, back-to-back DNPs with the knee. So big day tomorrow. Usually when you get 2 back-to-back DNPs, I'm going to say he's trending towards doubtful, but we'll see. Yeah, this is a bit of concern. Do you like anybody, like if Palmer's out, like we're not starting Quentin Johnston. We're not. It's purely Herbert, Eckler, and Keenan Allen, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can maybe spot start Gerald Everett if he plays, but he's even limping around. I mean, Quentin Johnston, maybe. I mean, he's going to be thrust into the role.
Yeah. I think my thing especially for this week 8, there's no teams on bye, so I think you're less likely to be starting a guy like Gerald Everett. Just the amount of options available. So
you gotta be pretty desperate.
We'll watch for this. I think Josh Palmer. I want to play Josh Palmer if he plays. I know he was banged up going in. He had a groin injury status the last game going into it, so we'll see about that. But we got Andrew Bauer in the chat room. Coming in hot with the trade talks here. Dalton Kincaid. Do I trade for Kincaid? Would give up Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. And
I can't really talk on this one.
Yeah, so Andrew, this was for the rest of the people in the chat, this is a direct trade. Andrew's in our league. He wants to trade with Jesse here, and the actual trade is Dalton Kincaid and Jaleel McLaughlin, and he gives up Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. Andrew does not use Chuba or Sanders. They're both on his bench right now because he's got Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs, so he would be swapping Sanders and Chuba and getting Jaleel as his RB3, and he can find, some depth to build behind that, in the waiver wire. But he's desperate for a tight end. He has Chigo Okonkwo in the lineup right now. Kincaid, I think everyone would agree, is universally an upgrade at the tight end position. So that's kind of where that's going. But we'll see. We'll see if we can get that trade in, Andrew, before 7:15. And Charlene saying the Vikings beat the 49ers. They did beat the 49ers, but a couple caveats. That one was in Minnesota. Vikings basically on death's door for their season. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, Justin Jefferson coming back. Like, we're all good now. Kirk Cousins not being traded. They have wind in their sails now. So I think it was, you also have the Brock Purdy thing. Did you see the hit that he got concussed on?
I did not see it. No. Was it early in the game?
Or? It was the QB sneak that he did. And he was kind of leaning over and his head was like sideways and it got smacked pretty good by helmet to helmet, which they didn't call. But his head got hit on the sneak. And then he goes on to throw 2 interceptions after that. And then I don't know if you heard, but he had concussion symptoms on the airplane later. So it was a bit of a late effect on there. But he's practicing today. I don't know what to make of that. I'm expecting him to not play. They did give Darnold full reps, but they are listing Purdy as limited today. But yeah, I think the Vikings are a good play, but Jags are playing with some swag lately. They've been one of the hotter teams. Daniel's saying DK, Stevenson, Higgins, and Dell. We got to pick 2, sit 2.5 PPR format. Do you have anyone that sticks out more than the other here right away, Jesse?
I like the way Ramondre is getting the right usage. I feel like he's a nice, he's back in his receiver role. He's been getting 5-6 catches per game now last 2 weeks. I think they realize if they want their offense to move, they got to kind of utilize Ramondre. And I mean, T. Higgins, man, out of the bye, I really expect a healthy Burrow to really get things going, really get the Cincinnati team on track. And I think it's got to be, it's got to be Chase, it's got to be Higgins, it's got to get him back on track. I mean, his stats are just so bad across his career lows that there's going to be positive regression. It's going to happen soon, or it's not going to happen at all.
Did we were looking at that chart earlier today where it was one high, two high. Do the 49ers lean one way or the other?
Let me see if I can pull that up.
And I'm slightly interested in getting Ramondre in there because it's half PPR, but he's been playing well. He only got 9 carries, but he did get 6 targets last weekend. And the thing with that is like this is the game where they were comfortably ahead. So that's why you see Zeke out there a little bit more. They didn't really have to throw the ball to him, and I think he's still out there for most of the third downs. That's Latavius Murray. Let me see down here. They don't have the chart. Okay, they don't have the Patriots chart here, but I think Ramondre is the safe play. But I think we're leaning Higgins in a matchup against the 49ers where we just saw Kirk Cousins and company shred them. And then, do you have any thoughts on DK Metcalf this weekend, coming off of a week of rest?
Yeah, what's his practice status? Is he still Q, or is he?
He's personally said that he's playing, and he was listed as full practice participant yesterday. They're on the West Coast, so they don't really upload their stuff till later on Thursday, but he's playing. He's full.
Okay.
With no designation.
I think the biggest draw against playing DK in this situation is you're up against Cleveland, right?
Yeah, the number one team against wide receivers and probably the number one defense against other positions too.
Yeah, I think it's just in what's probably a lower scoring environment. I think I like the Higgins, and then I think for me, Ramondre's just kind of especially in a half PPR where maybe he can kind of bumble and rumble his way for a touchdown.
Yeah. I do want to say we're looking at these are the receivers the Browns have faced this year. They've only allowed 4 receivers over double digits. You have Josh Downs, which came last weekend on a 60-yard touchdown. You got George Pickens, who had a big game against them, but it came on one big play. You have Michael Pittman, who came against them on, again, one big play. And then Ayuk had a couple big plays in there. So I just want to make a case. Like, what does DK Metcalf do as good as about any player? He makes big plays. So if there was one player to beat the Browns defense, I think it could be Metcalf. But again,
you're looking for one big play. You know what I mean? Like
it feels like we're trying to flip a 21 here or something, and it's like it could be 8 points. I think Stevenson gets that 8 points just as easily. And hey, man, the Dolphins defense got wrecked last weekend. I know we're telling people to start them in fantasy, but I think the volume's there for Ramondre. And then are we just ignoring Tank Dell here?
It just seems like the weaker of the, give me Dell or give me DK upside. I just feel like there's not really a floor for Dell, and the upside is probably in the same range as what a DK or a Higgins is going to give you.
Yeah, and then I just want to point out that Robert Woods is I think they ruled him out. Or basically said he's not going to play this weekend, so that maybe opens up more opportunities for him. But they're coming back off a bye. He's coming off a concussion. Kind of want to get a little taste of what that looks like before I trust it again. So we're going to go Higgins and Stevenson here. Let's see. Gully says Josh Downs in the slot against New Orleans would be amazing. New Orleans gives up yards against slot. Yes, sir. Ronald, good evening. Would you dare start Tank Dell and Rachaad White this week in a full PPR? What are we like in a full PPR? That's the format where Rachaad White is actually useful.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm gonna pull up Rachaad White's numbers here, and then we're gonna look at what the Bills allow to running backs here, because I'm assuming they're good against the running backs here. But let's look at what Rachaad White's been up to. He's averaging 11.8 PPR points on the year. The floor is 7 points. And he's only scored 1 touchdown all year. That's how he got the 20 points. So a bad game from Rachaad White looks like about 7. A good game is between 10 and 15. So I don't hate it. If we go look at what the Bills are doing here.
I think since they lost Milano, they've been getting, their defense has really taken a couple key hits, and they're trending in the wrong direction.
They're yet to. Well, they have 700 rushing yards allowed on the year. Who did that? Who torched the Bills? I can't remember who ran against them, but that's a lot of yards against Buffalo. That's kind of a low number here too. The 36 receptions and 303 yards, no touchdowns allowed to the running back in the receiving game. But you mentioned the linebacker is out. If Tampa Bay's so they're averaging almost 24 PPR points per game. We're expecting Tampa Bay to come in under that. Maybe White hits double digits tonight. In the check down game. So I don't hate Rachaad White, but are you playing Tank Dell over Rachaad White is the question.
Yeah, again, I think I just need to see it from Tank Dell. I think you're playing a little bit more on the outskirts of a really bad floor.
Yeah.
One big boom play. I think White's going to have catches in this game. I think, if the game script goes how we expected, I'm expecting, Tampa to be down, Rachaad White to be getting dump offs. He finishes with 4 or 5 grabs, hits you like a 10-point floor. If he can fall into the end zone, then you're hitting.
So the thing that we were looking at earlier this afternoon was the 1 high versus 2 high thing, and I believe the Carolina Panthers mostly run 2 high or 1 high, which favors Nico Collins. So that is something there too. So we're gonna take the safe points of Rachaad White tonight, and we're gonna bank on a 7, but hope for that 12 to 15 points. I think is what we're gonna do, right?
Yep.
Okay. Can I get an update on Tyler Lockett? I think he's fine. I didn't see anything here on the injury reports because they haven't uploaded them yet. Let me just do a quick Twitter search of Tyler Lockett. But where are we at? Like, we already kind of mentioned the Cleveland Browns matchup is pretty tough. But the Seahawks report here, hamstring, did not practice yesterday. Today, he did not practice again. Back-to-back days, no participating with the hamstring for Tyler Lockett.
JSN season.
Jake Bobo season.
Jake Bobo, impressive. Both of them. I mean, they both look pretty good.
Again, that idea that it's week 8 and there's no buys, it might be tough to kind of get those guys in your lineup unless you only have 2 or 3 fantasy wins. But this update on Lockett doesn't look promising. I don't like missing back-to-back practices, and especially with a hamstring, a veteran player with a hamstring, that's slightly concerning. So big day tomorrow, I will say.
Kenneth too. No Kenneth would be
back. No Kenneth.
Yeah, that's
with the calf. I did see that they're going to be getting Kenny McIntosh back too.
And Sharp.
Charbonnet full or limited and full. So he's on track to play. I would say if Zach Charbonnet is available in your league, it's a good time to pick him up like right now during the show. But man, that's not looking good for Kay Walker or Tyler Lockett. Say Lockett was out. Does that change your mind a little bit on DK Metcalf, or are we just kind of like the team might struggle if they don't have Walker or Lockett?
Yeah, I mean targets. If he can beat the corner, if nothing else, maybe that gives him a 1 or 2 more of those like 8 to 10 range catches. So that's like 3 to 5 points right there on top of his normal. So it probably makes him a little bit safer of a play.
Sure. But yeah, this is definitely good catch here, Harris. This is one to really monitor. Lockett and Walker. This makes me lean into maybe playing that Browns defense. If you're in a tough spot and you have the Browns defense, I would say go for it. I know they burned everyone last weekend, but they still scored a touchdown and they got turnovers. They're going to get sacks against this offensive line here. So, yeah, we're going to monitor these guys tomorrow for sure. Jerry says start Hubbard, Sanders healthy, or Henderson, assuming it's him and Freeman again. Full PPR. Do you have a quick, obvious answer here, Jesse?
I think Henderson just makes a good connection right now with, his reunited with the Rams.
Here's the usage last weekend from Henderson and Royce Freeman. Henderson led more plays, more early downs. Goal line was split 50-50, 1 each. Short yardage did go to Royce Freeman, but it was only, 2 out of 3. And then they did kind of lean Henderson on 3rd downs. And then 2-minute drill was Henderson's. My question is, does Henderson get more work this week? It was his first game with the freaking team last week. Hasn't been on NFL roster.
Just plug and play.
I'm wondering if Henderson's just the volume guy. And I know it's Dallas. If I pulled up Dallas's numbers here, Dallas does rank 9th here against the running back, but hey, 17.92 points. Say the Rams get 18 running back points, you divide that right down the middle. You got to. I would expect if you start Henderson, I would expect 8 to 10 points as kind of the floor, just based on volume. They gave him 18 carries last week, and against the Steelers defense, which
he stayed in shape. That's for sure.
So I think Henderson's kind of fun. And then, I think to finish that question, if Sanders wasn't playing, you're playing Chuba, but you kind of got to wait for those guys. Gully says, you think Hardy will be involved a bit tonight? You're the DFS builder over there, Jesse. Have you clicked on Deontay Hardy at all?
Haven't really looked Hardy's way. I kind of feel like Buffalo Bills have kind of really narrowed their offense down.
There's been a trend lately, and that is Khalil Shakir has taken over the number 3 receiver job over Hardy and Sherfield. He ran 20 routes. That's 10 more than Hardy and Sherfield. And he also had 4 targets, which, they only each had 1. So there's a little bit of smoke here with Khalil Shakir kind of coming over and being that third guy. I'm looking for some charts on that, but I don't see anything. But here's the snap percentage for Khalil Shakir. So it's kind of rising here. It peaked in week 6, down in week 7, but a little bit of Khalil Shakir. So I think Hardy's probably not in our thoughts tonight. But hey, he could get one of those weird goal line looks and kind of figure it out from there. But Jerry says, we mentioned this on Discord, but wanted to hear why you think Gibbs and Devonta for Bijan and Ridley is a good trade for me. I'd get Bijan and Ridley. Okay, Jesse. Gibbs and Devonta Smith or Bijan and Calvin Ridley? Which side do you prefer? It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think I like Bijan and Ridley. I think Gibbs is great when Monty's not around, but if and when Monty's back and healthy, then Gibbs becomes almost like a maybe flex at best. Whereas Bijan, last week was a weird week. Arthur Smith is a weird guy, but Bijan's, he's a playmaker at the end of the day. And then between Devonta and Ridley, Devonta, as long as Goddard's around and AJ Brown is at being the alpha right now, it's really hard to trust Devonta as more than a wide receiver 2, whereas Ridley at least gives you wide receiver 2 with what I believe will be some wide receiver 1 games sprinkled into the mix.
Yeah, so my personal reason for wanting Bijan and Ridley is Ridley and Devonta are kind of the same play right now in terms of fantasy starts, right? You're hoping for the big game to come, but you're still getting 6s and 7s every now and then. And honestly, let's see here. Devonta Smith ranked 29th here, 11.8 PPR points per game. You do have Calvin Ridley down here at 11 points per game. Not that much of a difference to me. Just if you were to compare the stats between the two, I don't know if we'd be able to tell a difference as great as the difference between Bijan and Gibbs. So Bijan's the prize. So I think I lean with the Bijan there. Harris is asking, Dameon Pierce, Javonte Williams, or Aaron Jones? Start one of them? Does anyone stick out here, Jesse?
Man.
These are all murky situations this week.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, you plug him in, he might get you 5 points. If just his health is so up in the air right now, hard to trust. Javonte seems to be the guy who's Denver he's going to rely on offensively to try and win games. But again, it's against Kansas City, so how much running are they going to be able to successfully do?
Right.
Pierce might be in the best situation for this week against Carolina. Before the bye, there were kind of some issues on Singletary getting involved, and now it's going to be a wait and see kind of issue. We like Dameon Pierce, the talent. I can't get in the end zone.
So I have I found a really good comp for what I think the Texans' backfield is going to look like going forward. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers' backfield. Pierce is Najee and Warren is Singletary. I think they're going to give both guys touches. I don't see one guy getting the boatload of the share. They still like Dameon Pierce, but I do think they need to integrate Singletary a little bit more, because I think when Singletary's on the field, defense doesn't really know what's going to happen. And I was listening to one of the Texans beat writers. Are you familiar with the 32 beat writers account?
Yep.
They do a podcast with every beat writer every now and then. And they had the Texans guy on the other day, and he thinks Singletary is going to be more involved, but they're not just going to push Singletary out. They both do things very well. They want to make sure they're getting them on the field. So it's a great matchup for Dameon Pierce. We don't know what's Singletary. Bad matchup for Javonte Williams. And I think he only got like 6 points in that game the Thursday night game that they played on recently.
Can't trust that backfield.
Whereas Aaron Jones, despite playing on limited snaps, I think he still hit about 8 PPR points, and I know he's been kind of murky with practice reports, but I believe he was limited today. He's on track to play. And Aaron Jones is kind of a different player at home. So I think I'm going to swing for the fences with Aaron Jones here, because if there's one guy here that's going to hit 20 points, who is it?
Yeah, it's Aaron Jones.
So I think with this point, Pearson, Javonte, yeah, they can get you 6 points, but Jones can get 6 points on one play. So I'm going to go with Jones. Thoughts on Tampa Bay receiving core tonight? Jesse, any thoughts for the showdown, folks?
Yeah, I mean, without digging too hard into it tonight, just been too busy with work, but I feel like the Bills are susceptible right now. They're playing close games. Mike Evans has been playing well. Chris Godwin's been playing pretty well. I don't mind, honestly doing a kind of little bit of a Tampa stack tonight and just kind of bringing it back with the Diggs. I mean, you got to get Josh Allen in your lineup, of course, because he's going to do his thing. Is Baker is questionable but playing tonight? I wasn't really sure what the injury is, though.
Yeah, I believe he was cleared, and I know Godwin was as well, because Baker DNP on Monday, limited full, and then kind of the same thing with Godwin, DNP limited full. So they're both going to play. Not sure what that is, or maybe they just kind of, said, hey, Thursday night, we're going to list you guys as DNP on Monday. But I have a question for you. If you had to start one between the other, are you you have one wide receiver 3 spot left? Is it Mike Evans or Godwin tonight?
Man, that's tough. Most times I'd say Godwin, but I feel like Mike Evans has just been.
He's been on
He's been Baker's guy. He's been Baker's guy. Does he get the Trey White treatment?
Sure.
So I mean, we have seen Evans kind of, when you give him the one-on-one guys, he maybe doesn't win those matchups as often as you want to, but.
So we're at 7:00 here, so we do have to get out of here, guys. But these are the receivers that the Buffalo Bills have allowed to have the most points per game. These are all kind of like bigger outside receivers. There's Christian Kirk, Wan'Dale Robinson, but I think I'm leaning Mike Evans tonight. Sports Dog says he picked up Kincaid, and we're using Laporta in my tight end spot. I'd like to use Kincaid. I'm using Palmer, Nico Collins in my flex, and then Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Maybe Kincaid in week 9. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean. Would you lean Kincaid over Nico or Garrett Wilson, Jesse? Or are you going to stick with Nico and Wilson?
No, yeah, I'm sticking with Nico.
Start James Cook over Rachaad White, yes?
Yep.
Bucs defense is solid tonight. I understand that, but I really like James Cook had a nice little W last weekend where he kind of took control and kind of staved off Latavius Murray. So I think Cook's going to be useful in the passing game tonight. No problem, Ronald. Are you worried about Kenneth Walker? Yes. We'll find out more tomorrow. Ryan says, go Bills. I'm sure Andrew's saying somewhere go Bills as well. Real quick, Daniel says, who would you drop for Sam Howell? Purdy, Deontay, Dell, or Palmer? Probably Purdy.
Probably Purdy. In a 1 QB league.
Yeah.
Super flex, you got to hold.
Yeah. We're going to go 2 more minutes, guys. We'll get through all these questions real quick here. Rank Higgins, Waddle, Bourne, Pittman this week. Warren this week, half PPR. I'm probably ranking Waddle, Higgins, Pittman, Bourne. Any changes?
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I mean, Bourne's been hot, but I think, yeah, that's my order.
We have a whole book on Bourne. He's been hard to trust. And
right, yeah.
I lean towards the other teams like Tua and Joe Burrow. I'm going to go with those guys over Mac Jones here. Is Musgrave playing? I think he did not practice again today. Let me pull that up for you. Back-to-back DNPs for Musgrave. Big day tomorrow. Leaning towards doubtful. Should I drop Dell, Palmer, or Deontay for Charbonnet? Ooh.
Jeez.
Ooh. Yikes.
if you had to drop one of those, who do you drop?
It's Dell.
Keep, trade, cut. Yeah, I think Dell's the one.
I think it's Dell. If you can hold out, and maybe Deontay might get the red O, Palmer might get the red O, but I think you got to probably buy now on these guys. You can maybe, once Palmer or Deontay, if they're out, you can slide them out and maybe get Dell back. But I think that's what it's going to be. Is Cade Otton worth a more than 25 yards tonight? 3 for 25, maybe. No linebackers for no. Milano's not playing. Bills traditionally are pretty good against tight end.
I think I take the under.
He did have a lot of targets last weekend. He had 6 targets. Leaning under though. It's Thursday Night Football. I heard you say Walker might be having issues. Yeah, it's time to get Charbonnet. And yeah, thank you,
Charlene.
Thank you, Charlene. Pick 2: Marquise Brown, Tank Dell, and B-Rob. We're gonna cross out Brian Robinson.
Yeah, tough matchup this week against Philly, right? Washington plays Philly.
Yeah, I don't think he played all that great against them earlier in the year too. I can try and find that real quick, but we're losing faith fast in Brian Robinson right now. He did go 45 yards and a touchdown, 2 for 6 as a receiver. You take away the touchdown, and that's a garbage game. So I'm leaning towards no B-Rob in that one. And then Bazambo, full PPR. Should I trade Waddle for Josh Jacobs? Gun to your head?
Nope.
Take Waddle, yeah. And then last one here for the night, guys. Full PPR. Should I start Olave or Waddle this weekend?
Olave plays the Colts. Waddle plays.
They're both great matchups.
Probably taking Waddle.
Olave had 15 targets last week, though. He did get caught for speeding, but
yeah, does he get any trouble for that? Is there any kind of concern?
Marquise Brown did this. I think Jordan Addison did it too. There's literally nothing that the NFL doesn't do it. It'd have to be the actual team to suspend the guy and kind of punish him that way. But the last 2 years we've had 2 cases and nothing's happened. So I think he's fine. This one's a coin flip, but we'll go with Waddle and Tua, lean into the Dolphins offense. But we're going to get out of here, guys. Jesse, any final thoughts on the game tonight or any words of wisdom before the Week 8?
Upset special tonight.
Woo!
I'll take Tampa spread. Tampa spread.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, Tampa by.
They're plus 10 right now. They've moved to plus 10.
It moved. Okay.
Yeah.
It should be a 1-score game by the end of it. I think Baker can keep firing and have some fun with it. If you had to captain one man for tonight, who's your captain?
Mike Evans.
Miguel Evans. There you have it, folks. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. This was a lot of fun. We will see you next Thursday evening. You guys take care. Enjoy the game. Good luck. Peace.